We're getting another important update for our viewers at this point in time, and I would like to have your views on that. Also, we are in fact getting first visuals of Jag Laadki, the Indian flagged oil tanker Jag Laadki that is carrying around 80,000 metric tons of crude oil. It has reached Mundra Port in Gujarat after completing its journey from the United Arab Emirates, the UAE, and those are the first set of visuals that we are getting for you at this point in time. This vessel, in fact, had departed for Jag Port on Sunday morning, and now it has arrived. It is carrying around 80,800 metric tons of crude oil. Mr. Rabinder Sachdev, first visuals they're coming in, and this is the third vessel that has arrived in India. Do you think our diplomacy can also help us bring in other vessels that still remain around the Strait of Hormuz, or do you think it was just like a one-off sort of an arrangement that both countries, could finalize?
More of our tankers and cargo ships coming in from the Persian Gulf into India, and Iran also seems to be saying so. Iran is saying that the Gulf is not closed. It is closed only to the enemies of Iran, that is Israel, US, and the countries who support them. The countries who are not involved in the war effort against Iran, starting with India, because we were the first ones to kind of get our foot in the door, right? Iran started allowing the ships to go through, and subsequently ships of China and other nations also going through. What it means, bottom line is that, shortage will be covered, of the LPG, crude oil. Okay, we don't have a shortage of crude oil. The shortages would be compensated in some time. It will take maybe a couple of weeks or 3 weeks, but the prices will remain high, right? Right now, what we get from the Gulf is, LPG in ships. We get crude oil in ships. We get LNG also, by the way, in ships. And then, of course, there is other kinds of cargo, could be any material commodities, but as far as energy is concerned, these are three primary buckets. So, shipments of these three categories and other trading commodities will start to grow coming into India, which would mean that the shortages would be alleviated. However, at the same time, since the world over prices are going up, be it crude oil, be it LPG, be it LNG, all of those prices would go up.
For how long can we really sustain our energy requirements with what we have at this point in time? If the war goes on, say, for another 4 odd weeks, do you think this is going to be sufficient, or perhaps a new strategy is going to be in place? Perhaps our dependence on Russian oil is likely to go up even further?
Yeah, we import around 5 million barrels of crude oil a day. Okay. We consume around maybe 5.5 to 6 million barrels, out of which about 85-90% we import. So every day, on an average, we need 5 million barrels coming in. If the 20% of our supplies are cut off from the Gulf region, then we need to obviously make it up from other sources. Similarly, with LPG, we consume around 90,000 tons of LPG a day, out of which only 30,000 we produce. Okay, we need to import 60,000 tons of LPG every day. Like yesterday, this ship which came in, I forget the name, Shivalik or whatever, was carrying 40,000 tons of LPG.
Right.
That is LPG for not even 1 day of India's consumption. But that is a norm, so we've been importing, we will keep importing. Structurally, I think one thing which India should seriously look into is an undersea pipeline which avoids the Hormuz Strait, and let's say an undersea pipeline from Oman to India, at least carrying natural gas. That could be one alternative.
All right. Mr. Rabinder Sachdev, appreciate you speaking with us here on Times Now and sharing with us your perspective. Viewers, what you're seeing on your screens right now are visuals coming in from Mundra Port, where the third Indian flagged oil tanker vessel, now this one is an oil tanker, Jag Laadki, which is carrying around 80,800 metric tons of crude oil, has arrived in India. It has reached Mundra Port in Gujarat after completing its journey from the United Arab Emirates. And this is an important update because this comes after two Indian-flagged LPG carriers, Shivalik and Nanda Devi, arrived in India carrying 92,712 metric tons of LPG via the Strait of Hormuz. Rishabh, my colleague, is now joining us live right now for more on this. Rishabh, Shivalik, Nanda Devi, and now the third vessel carrying, crude oil has reached India. Can you tell us a little bit more as to what happens next? Because there are still certain number of vessels that are, at the Strait of Hormuz, that are stranded around the Strait of Hormuz. Are we in touch with Iran to get safe passage for some more of them anytime soon?
Well, what we're given to understand that Jag Laadki, which has about 81,000 metric tons, 80,800 metric tons is the exact volume of LPG that has now reached Mundra Port in Gujarat early today. What we're given to understand, this is a third tanker that has reached Indian ports in last 1 week. Remember, the Strait of Hormuz has become the choke point. Iran is not allowing the fuel, containers to move ahead of Strait of Hormuz. But this is something that where the diplomacy comes into play. What we are given to understand that this tanker was loading crude oil at Fujairah, point, and this is when the strike happened on 14th of March. Now that it has reached, this is the third tanker that has reached India. So after discussions between Tehran and New Delhi, things have started moving. Not at the pace that India would like, but at least the beginning has happened. Remains to be seen how things unfold, because remember, we still have 20-odd Indian-flagged tankers in Persian Gulf, which are the troubled waters. So all of them coming out would be a task for Indian government. About 600 seafarers are also there. So all this combined is a huge diplomatic challenge that India is undertaking. Remains to be seen how things unfold.
Stay on with us, Rishabh. We are also joined, in fact, on the broadcast by Mr. KP Fabian. Sir, thank you very much for speaking with us here on Times Now. After Shivalik and Nanda Devi, now Indian vessel Jag Laadki, carrying around 80,800 metric tons of crude oil, has reached Mundra Port in Gujarat. Your first reaction to, this big development, because while US and allies are still waiting to get their vessels moved to the other side of Strait of Hormuz, India has managed to get at least 3 of its vessels, cross that very tricky waterway, the Strait of Hormuz.
Yes, that's a welcome development from India's point of view. And what we have to understand is that A, it's a success of India's diplomacy. B, we have to also look at the big picture. The big picture is that Iran has been playing a very clever chess game. It initially announced blockade of the Strait of Hormuz, and then later it started letting ships related to friendly countries, India, China, and all that. And when President Trump announced his plans, to take military action, Iran said, no, there is no blockade. It's only blockaded only for ships belonging to America, Israel, and their allies. Now, the expression "and their allies" is never defined, but it's clear. So, Iran has played a chess game, and in an asymmetrical war, what happens is that the weaker party has a chance to win. And at this moment, if I may say so, President Trump, he had anger because he couldn't have a cakewalk. Then anger produces confused memory, as Bhagavad Gita says. And confused memory is followed by bad judgments. And of course, the final stage is ruin. He is in the third stage. So let us see what happens.
All right. Sir, thank you very much for speaking with us here on Times Now and sharing with us your perspective. So big development there. We will slip into a very short break right now. Coming back with lots more. Don't go anywhere.